Hey, folks, welcome back to the Pulse. My name's Matt. This is Crypto Heartbeat. It's 4:36 Central Texas time, and I'm back online with the Convergence. Folks, this is a important topic we're going to talk about today because you've been paying attention to what's been going on in crypto, and you know it's just a whipsaw, right? We erased all the gains, and here we are once again. And you know what? Hopefully, you come here to get some sensible perspective on what's really going on, because to me this is ultimately the plan. It is all coming together, and it's on both sides, right? This is a battle between good and evil. You know that. It's a battle between good and evil. I'm going to break down why it's a battle between good and evil. And there is you're going to find out that Richard Hart was right. That's likely what you're going to find out. But welcome back. I'm glad you're here. Let's say hello to you folks who are in the chat. Quinn, what's going on, Quinn? Thank you for being here. You know, Quinn, you'll love this. So, this weekend, a friend and fan of the channel happened to be coming in from France, and I literally got to meet up with him, and it was incredible. My new good friend, he knows who he is. He'll be watching this, I'm sure. But we had just the greatest conversation. Met him down in Austin, and I've never had anyone fly in to come see me. Well, he had work to do here in the States, but he took an extra flight just to come over and connect. We had dinner, and it was an awesome time. But it's really cool to get feedback from folks like you and to meet people from across the world. And I'm so thankful for that, because that's a big part of the value here, especially if you're not, you're looking at your account and you're not seeing the number go up. You're like, we got to count our blessings. And it was really a blessing to me to have them come in. And, it's amazing who's a part of this kind of crypto heartbeat thing. And I don't realize been doing it for over 2 years now, and the quality of people is amazing. Quinn, I'm talking to you. You're one of those people. Quality folks. My online ghost, what's going on? What is good, everyone? Thanks for stopping in. Clintrons is back. What's up, Clintrons? Good day, Mr. Heartbeat and crew. Great to have you here. Blue Collar Grunt, what's up, y'all? And then Finest Melon, not tuned in much recent times, but was here for your first ever video. You know what's so crazy? My new friend Alan from France said the same thing. Been here since the beginning. Very patient. We'll look back fondly on these times of the value, the journey that we have all been on. Isn't that the truth? Everything is in flux and changing. And thanks for being here. Finest Melon for being here the whole time. Jackie Clocky, what's going on? Quinn, that's fantastic. We do need to meet. And I know there are always challenges in getting together, but folks, you've heard the news. I assume you've heard the news. It's been really the talk of, at least in politics, it's been the talk of crypto. And that's really the first story that we'll talk about today. And this is all going to be under the theme of the convergence. What is this? It's all coming together. Pardon me. It's all coming together. All right. So let's jump into this. All right. Let me share my screen. So you've probably seen this, but there's two sides of this whole thing, right? And I want to make a case to you. This is Senator Elizabeth Warren, and if you haven't seen this, you need to pay attention to this. This is an article in Bitcoin Magazine, and I'll just give you the headlines here so you know what's going on. U.S. Senator Elizabeth Warren introduces bill to crack down on Bitcoin and crypto, and Senator Warren stresses that digital currencies are used as an avenue for criminal activity, and that must be addressed through stringent regulatory frameworks. We had Jamie Dimon. We talked about Jamie Dimon on the last episode, and how he's like, if I was a government, I'd shut that thing down. Well, this is the planned attack. And so there is a bill in front of, this is from Senator Warren, and to get people into better compliance. And it's interesting because we don't have any sensible regulations. We've got folks who want to shut it down. And of course, Elizabeth Warren is the Wicked Witch of the West. And so or the East, I'm not sure which one it is. But this is big news. And this is the part I would say is good versus evil, right? And I think it's something that's inevitable. Senator Warren has been convinced, or is a part of the banking industry that does not like what they see. And so to explain this to you, this is my breakdown on it. Crypto is one of these things where it I think a lot of these people, kind of the boomer crowd, thought, it'll never catch on, right? A bunch of nerds in their mom's basement. And what has happened is obvious. It's exploded. And now we've got regular people. And now that BlackRock is, talking about doing their ETF and all of these things that are going on, it's definitely a time that there should be, some concern, right? They want to control this whole thing. And so, from my perspective, um, this is an indicator that we're well aware of, right? Their government, trying to lock down. But as well as I do that ultimately this evil side does not win. And why do I say it's evil? Well, there are folks that have, if you watch any of the work that I do with Steve Staggs on Friday, you would know this. But what's going on in this world has been going on for a long, long time. You know, it wasn't really until the last 50 years where we've had kind of access to information and now real time information, and everything is being exposed. And so, if you look at this from a macro perspective, everything is being exposed to the light. Obviously, WikiLeaks and Edward Snowden and those type of things. But, you know, all of these things, UFOs, JFK assassination, all of these things are coming out into the open. It's very difficult to keep things quiet these days. And because that's advancing, right, our ability to know what's going on, and then kind of we know the playbook, right? We know the playbook, and the generations are changing, right? We got boomers to folks who, Gen X. I sit firmly into the Gen X generation that doesn't trust authority. And so they've got a real challenge on their hands. And so those who have built their empires on the back of extraction. And so I want to make a case for this financially. I think this is really helpful for you to know. In 1971, 72 in Bretton Woods, right? Richard Nixon got us off the gold standard. And when he got us off the gold standard, what ended up happening is we had easy money, right? When you don't have to account for it with backing of gold. And when I was a kid, I remember the silver certificates, and it was my brother collected those, my dad collected those, and it was a point where you could redeem for gold or silver. And when you remove it, that Bretton Woods decision is really the beginning of really, really easy money. And if you think about what happened in that first cycle with the 80s, this was the time where people slicked back their hair. Remember that, right? Wall Street, right? Hostile takeovers. That was the name of the game because capital was cheap. And of course, obviously, we've got the Federal Reserve and this fractional reserve banking system. Well, this is the core of this issue. Throughout history, people have enslaved others with tools. And Steve Staggs made a really great point on Friday. He said, if you look back into the biblical times, they asked, somebody asked Peter, they said, hey, does your teacher, does he pay the temple tax? And that was the poll tax. And of course, he said, yes, he does. And what's interesting is Jesus asked a question to Peter. He said, who has to pay the tax? Do the children of the leaders, right? The children of the king, the child, the son of the king have to pay the tax? He's like, no, it's the people that have to pay. And so think about the mechanism of taxation and what it does. It ultimately enslaves the person who is obligated to it, right? There's no obligation for the son. And so there's a story about that is who are the sons? Who are the heirs? Who are the sovereigns? And of course, we've grown up in this system. I was born in 1973, and and I feel like an old man, but it's been my whole life. And what you don't realize is you kind of have to wake up and realize that this whole system is built on the back of the sovereignty of the individual, especially in America, that we actually are sovereign, meaning not the state. And right now, the state has basically convinced you that the state is sovereign. And of course, we talk about the sovereignty of states, and I get it. I understand that, right? But their independence, right? They're talking about their independence. But here in this Western world, and especially here in America, We recognize that the rights that we have are self evident and they're given to us by a creator. And that's really, really important stuff. That's the base layer. And that's what this is all about. Because there's two systems. There's a system in which I control the mechanisms of taxation, of money, of all of those things. And because those have been connected to political power, the financial power has been wielded as something that subjects you and me like like a form of slavery, right? Debt and consumer slavery. So when we got off the gold standard, what ended up happening? We had all this cheap and easy money. And if you think about most people, there's zero savings. They're living hand to mouth. Well, you're enslaved in that system. And you know that because you got to pay the rent and you got to pay the bills. And why? Easy money, easy credit. That's what's gotten us into this situation. And of course, we've done that as a nation, right? We've spent ourselves out of existence. But if you look at the history of empires and why they fall, is ultimately financially, they don't pay back their sovereign debt. And if you look at the history of money from the perspective of Rome, it starts out being, gold coins, and then ultimately it gets added and alloyed and it's smaller. And what we end up is you debase your currency with the amount of gold or silver that you have. What's interesting about, you know, Senator Elizabeth Warren, I mean, she's just the mouthpiece to try to prop up a failing system. This system, this fractional reserve banking system, will fail. I was looking, saw the news from Google that Google is planning on getting their piece of the crypto action. They're updating their advertising guidelines to include crypto trusts. And if you look at what that means, and that's crazy, folks. You were not able to advertise crypto in the past, and you still won't be able to advertise DeFi. But if you're an ETF and you've got a trust, you're going to be able to advertise. You think about how many messages are going to come out about the ETF and all of these things. In general, that's good for the growth of crypto and people getting in. But it's really up to you and me to be able to share with people the benefits of actually holding your own keys and the benefits and the power of DeFi, because this is inevitable. We're going to digital money. But why is it a convergence, right? Why are all of these things coming together? So we're talking about the, left-hand side of this, and the left-hand side of this is this extraction model, right? This is this evil extraction model that's built on scarcity, and it's built ultimately to enslave people. And so, how do I know this? What's the case for this? Why you need to be aware of this? Well, if we're sovereign and that your and my rights come from a creator, not from the state, then we're independent. And that's what the Declaration of Independence says. It says that there comes a time when you have to abolish or change these things, because you have to understand that it's, the government is there at the consent of the governed, and consent is permission. We give it permission to exist. And what's happened? It's gotten so big that it has enslaved us. It is not meeting the needs of the people. And I don't need to go through the litany of reasons to you. You know your own list of the reasons that you're not happy with the current system. And so the financial system and this, onset of crypto has shown that, hold on a second, if we don't clamp down on this, it is going to literally devour us. I've often called it a poison pill. And what is that poison pill? You think you have to get this yield, right? And you're seeing all these people win in crypto. And now the biggest groups in the world, right? This Bitcoin ETF, all the big financial players are now getting into crypto, because basically, if you can't beat them, join them. And they haven't been able to beat them. This is the prevailing wind. And of course, so what do? What's the narrative? The narrative is, oh, it's all criminals and it's all of this activity. Well, everybody knows the truth. That's, even Elizabeth Warren knows the truth. Cash is the number one thing that's used. It's really ultimately a person's, sinful behavior, if you will, that is at the core of this, right? People are going to constantly be trying to take advantage of other people and get theirs. But here comes crypto, and here comes this community. And it's an interesting convergence, because it's ultimately going to be a battle. And if you don't see it now, and that you have a role to play in it, we're in this decentralized financial world, and it is a powerful, powerful idea. The reason that Bitcoin was even created was to get rid of middlemen. But what do we have? Elizabeth Warren and all of her cronies want to get in the middle. They want to control and regulate. And so they'll create a straw man like, oh no, it's, terrorist money. And I understand there are sensible regulations in all things. There have to be some boundaries. But this is one of those things where they want to shut it down. I mean, Jamie Dimon probably shouldn't have said what he said, but he made it very clear what he wants. And on top of that, and this is a bit of an aside, Barack and Michelle Obama just executive produced a movie about literally the end of the world from a cyber attack. So all these things converging to the point where we want you to be in a 15-minute city, want you to have a social credit score, want you to have your retina scanned, want you to have a digital ID, right? And want to know who you are. And you remember that song? That guy kind of came and went. They want to know what you know and know what you do. And of course, we don't like that, right? We know that this is not going in the right direction, but people all over the world are pushing back. We thought we had someone in Argentina. He just became a U.S. dollar maxi and joined the Paris Climate Agreement. And then we've got Gert Wilders out of the Netherlands. We've got people who are pushing back. We've got Texas independents. We've got folks across the world saying this system isn't right. But I want you to understand how powerful and what is converging when it comes to crypto. Everybody's talking about, and I feel like all the talking heads that are out on YouTube are talking about, things like the price chart, right? Oh, and, the difficulties of this, that, or the other. Or, oh, no, there's an extra click to get into Pulse Chain. I really want you to back out from this. So much of this has been focused on money, and that's great, right? What attracts people is one Lambo and green candles. I get it. But if you care about maybe children or grandchildren, you care about legacy, you realize that this is one of the greatest opportunities we've ever had in human history, because this is the first time that political power and financial power are being separated. And if you don't understand how huge that statement is, and this is an idea that I first heard from Raoul Pal, is that this is an opportunity where regular people have an opportunity to come into communities of trust and to tokenize and literally create their own economic value. And we literally can create a new future for ourselves if we understand that considering others in addition to ourselves is the backbone of this. We saw that in Hex, right? But a lot of that is degenerate behavior. Oh, let's just get rich. I think we need better leadership. I'm trying to provide some of that perspective in leadership now, is for you to understand that there's more at stake than just you getting some money. There's an absolute opportunity to shift this whole thing from scarcity to abundance. And that's what this good versus evil thing's about. Because if you think about the world and what's happening, and of course, if you come from a Christian worldview as I do, you recognize that, hold on, if you believe that there are powers of darkness, right? If you believe that the battle is not between flesh and blood, it's not between you and me, it's between these authorities, these principalities, these things we don't see. And of course, you want to bring all of these things together in a convergence, you will see, hold on a second. People throughout history have been talking about lights in the sky and crafts and all these different things. And now we've discovered, even including the CIA, that we have 9 downed craft. Well, what does this say? We're coming into this time, and of course, if you take them one at a time, they don't seem like it's as big of a deal, but you put them all together, we're likely going to have artificial general intelligence or super intelligence. We're going to have the failure of the legacy financial system, and we're going to have aliens. And when I say aliens, I mean we're going to understand what's been going on forever, which is that we're not alone in this kind of multi hyperdimensional world. And that, hold on a second, if you look and read your Bible, you may find that these things they talked about that you thought were, silly things, oh, angels and demons. Well, what are the terms that they would use? Are there forces of darkness? Are there people who are aligning themselves with evil forces? I caught a YouTube short the other day between a very popular actress and a comedian woman, and they were talking, and she's like, oh, is it crazy in LA? And how are things going? She goes, yeah. Have you ever drank the gold juice? And she just said it matter of fact. She's like, gold juice? What are you talking about? Golden showers? It was, haha, as if it was funny. She said, no, I was offered the gold juice in my 20s, my 30s, and my 40s. I never took it." She's like, "What are you talking about? The gold juice?" Yeah, it basically, if you drink this, you basically will live forever and you will have power and fame. So she even talked about how people would befriend you and try to get you to drink the gold juice. Isn't that interesting? Now, I'm not a huge one on all the conspiracy theories, but think about this for a second. What's interesting is Jesus comes out of the wilderness, and who's there but Satan himself? And if you take this literally or allegorically, what you find is, are there forces that you don't see that are outside of our purview? Well, since we updated our jet fighters with the FLIR system, which is a forward-looking infrared, we started seeing these things, and we know the famous Nimitz scenario in 2004, or Lieutenant David Fravor chased the Tic Tac. Right? We know about that because of the 2017 New York Times article. But what we see is, hold on, we're potentially about to come into a time where we understand more about these things. And I've talked about it before. People like Lou Elizondo have said, "Hey, I went to the Pentagon to tell them about this because it was affecting national security." And he said, "We already know what they are. They're demons. Leave it alone." There's shows on television about Skinwalker Ranch and all of these things kind of coming in and out of existence. We're seeing all these things and they're going to be exposed. Now, there's a whole scientific group on one side that says, "Oh, these are aliens." I really honestly believe the Bible's been right this whole time. We might call them angels and demons, but realize that, hold on a second, the battle is for you. One of the things that's interesting, there's an account in the Bible where Jesus comes up to a man and he has been stricken by all of these different demons. It's called Legion, many. And of course, there was a movie, Legion, right? You think about this, many demons. And they recognized Jesus. They knew who he was. They had occupied this man and they asked him, "Send us into the pigs." And of course, he casts out the demons into the pigs and they run into the water and die. And it's interesting. I want you to try this on for size. If you're somebody who doesn't understand and you haven't read your Bible, let me tell you what I believe it says. I believe what it says is there is a battle between good and evil, and there is truth to this, and that there are those who need to have people, meaning sons of the Most High. Okay, you are important because you have the spark of the Spirit of God in you. You are created for a purpose, and you are valuable. And those that are not you, meaning heirs to this, eternal life, are really the battle is for. The battle is for your soul. And so what do people do in Hollywood, right? They get together and do all of these things with the occult and they end up basically drinking the gold juice. What are they doing? They're literally saying, "You know what? I'll exchange power, authority, all of these things." But why? Why in the world? If there was such strong aliens, or these were people that were super strong demons and angels or whatever you want to call them, why haven't they just taken over? Right? If they're so damn, great with their technologies, they've got all of these great things, why haven't they taken over? Well, if you back up and you understand the worldview that I have, is that there is one that's holding all of these things together, and there's a plan to all of this. And what's interesting is you were given choice. And the question is, are you going to choose to go your own way, or are you going to choose to go his way? And what's really amazing about this is that you can make that choice for yourself. And to think that we're coming into this pivotal time where everything's changing, the tools like money or AI, we're exposing these things to the light. That means that the globalists and the people that want to control you, the people that want to control the financial system, all of these people are scared as hell that this thing is going to flip. And we know that it actually is going to. This is the trajectory of this. I've read the book. I know how it finishes, and how you choose to live is really important. But there's always provision with the vision. We see this and we're like, "Well, how do I do this?" Lockdowns and all of the things that are going on. We feel like we are literally in a perilous situation where we have no strength. And here's the thing I will tell you: you have all of the power, and you have the power to choose. The question is, are you going to see it for what it is? And are you going to make choices and share with those that you care and love to embrace a future that is not just selfishly motivated? that's considerate of others. And if you look at this whole thing, right, it says that love covers a multitude of sins. You've heard that before. Why the heck do you think love covers a multitude of sins? Because fundamentally, we were meant to be whole, right? And what ends up happening is we've made these choices to go our own way. Steve Stagg said on Friday, he said, just think about it as two trees. And we know the story of Adam and Eve in the garden, and there are two trees. This one is the tree of life, and this one is the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. What is knowledge? What is the tree of knowledge? Could AI be that? Could the internet be that? Could your personal desire to get really good at something, to know something, to have? Yes, right? How many times you met an 18-year-old kid and he thought he knew everything, right? I was that kid. And then you get older and you realize, I don't know jack squat. And it humbles you. But what you realize is, folks, we're here for just like a vapor of a moment. And if this is actually the battle that's going on, then those that have aligned themselves with evil forces, right, who drank the gold juice, they need your permission, right, to take over. Because if they would have already taken over. And so to think that there's provision at this time to literally walk in a way that is considerate of other people, that covers over these things that are so detrimental. And we work together in community to build a better future. And it's really interesting, this idea of freedom, right? It says in the Bible that the only true freedom is the freedom in Christ. What is that all about? Because there is something broken in this system. We gave our authority away. And what ends up happening when you give your authority away? You become subject to the one you gave it to. And what's amazing about this is we've done this across the board financially with debt. We've done this with our government. We're like, oh, we come up underneath the Constitution. No, you don't. We created the Constitution. And see, the folks that are supposed to represent us are trying to enslave us even more. And we've got a way out. My parents didn't have the way out, or grandparents have the way out. The entire financial system is changing. And we've got a guy like Richard Hart. Do I think Richard Hart is like the Messiah? Absolutely not. But Richard Hart is seeing something and is playing the role that he's supposed to play in this world, which is to stand up to the giant. Because good ultimately wins in the end. And what is decentralization? What is helping you not pick up pennies in front of freight trains? What is this thing all about? This thing is all about you having an opportunity to make a choice that's not just primarily selfishly motivated, but in community with one another. In the book of Acts, in the Acts 2:42, it talks about the beginning of the church. And it wasn't the beginning of like, let's go to a cathedral and recite stuff. It was a group of people getting together, breaking bread, teaching each other. And when somebody had need, they sold stuff and helped each other. Huh. So you mean community and caring for one another in community is the key? Oh, yeah. Prior to the New Deal in the United States, people took care of their neighbors. I had a buddy who did his doctoral thesis on the front porch. No, like literally the front porch. The front porch is gone. Used to be, partly because of air conditioning, you had a front porch and people were in community because they weren't on their damn cell phones or on Xbox. But now what do people do? They got their gated community and their garage door, and they literally go through their gate, drive up their driveway, go into their garage and close the garage door before they get out of their car in hopes they don't have to talk to anybody. And then along comes Hex. And David Lee comes all the way from southwestern Indiana to my dad's funeral. And I see something that I haven't seen before. You know what's funny is I go to church on Sundays, and guess what I see? People talking about having community. I see more community in crypto, right? People caring for one another, not judging one another, right? Being accepting of weird people. Like, we are the land of misfit toys. That's why we have a pirate who leads us. But we should embrace that. We've got a leader who sees that freedom of speech and freedom of movement and freedom to transact and freedom of privacy is important. We have to understand that this isn't about just the number go up. Oh no, but Bitcoin's going up. When's Pulse going to go up? Oh, we're below SAC price. Relax. Relax and understand where we are in this. This is a constant battle between good and evil because it's a macro story that you have to understand. And that is, wow, the battle isn't between flesh and blood. Why? Because those that want to enslave you want us to fight with one another over race, over gender, over all these things. And meanwhile, the people in Silicon Valley are all enamored with this transhumanist thing. Why do you think they are worshiping Moloch? Why? Because these are the folks that believe that they can integrate their systems with computers and live forever. They're scared to death of death. But if you know the actual story of why we're here and what we're supposed to do, is that we're not just to eat from the tree of the knowledge of good and evil, but there is a provision of the tree of life. And where is life found? What is the core of it? Love one another. Interesting. And you know what's funny is most people don't see it this way. Richard Hart loves you. Isn't that funny to say? I was like, yeah, I said it. Crypto Heartbeat said it. Richard Hart loves you. You're like, well, that's kind of weird, right? The Louis Vuitton guy who twerks? Yeah, Richard Hart loves you. I'll say it. He won't say it. And what does it mean he loves you? Like, he cares about you. Why? Because his fate and your fate are intertwined. He's not going to get the glory unless you win. And advocating for others, we see it on display. The only way in which we build value in this flywheel of economic energy is if we work together. It's a cartel, folks. You got to care about other people. The people that are just out for themselves, those are the people that are on leverage. He's speaking and preaching the truth. He is one in the wilderness. Now, it's an unlikely character, but you know what? He's kind of a Nebuchadnezzar character, in my opinion, right? He literally, maybe even God himself has said to him, hey, you're going to lead this group. You're going to lead and you are going to preserve this decentralized thing. You're going to put the infrastructure in place so that the captives can be freed. But financial is just one thing because it's a tool. But all of these things are converging at the same time. Evil forces want to clamp down. They're on the run. They literally, it's collapsing from under them. This system will collapse in our lifetime. This whole fractional reserve banking thing, it will collapse. And I, for one, am not going to add any energy to it. I'm going to push it over the ledge. Why? Because the best thing for us is to get rid of the system and to adopt a new one, not one that tracks and traces you, but one that is free and one that allows you to have proper representation. This model that we have was created when a time when there was no internet, folks. There was no real-time communication. There was no streaming. The model of representational government is good, this republic. But you know what? It's a time when we have the ability to give our feedback in real time. We have to reboot this system, but also, I don't care what the mechanisms are, as long as the principles are built on your sovereignty as an individual, as one created by a creator with inalienable rights, that you matter and you have value. You're not the descendant of a monkey and we just tripped and fell and here we are. No, there's more to this story. And in order for the future to be bright, we have to use all of the tools, all of the mechanisms, all of the things that are converging in order to take this thing back. We have to return it to popular control. And how do we do it? By considering others in addition to ourselves. I think I've said that a million times. David Lee's probably like, that's 1,000,001. But folks, this should give you a lot of encouragement because in order to accomplish the things that I believe God has ordained, you have to have resources. So relax. Embrace the things that are better for you and your neighbor. What do those things look like? Decentralization. That's what I think about constantly. It's what Brandon's thinking about when he's not thinking about food. That's what this is about, folks. This is about considering others in addition to ourselves and embracing the things that reflect our value and putting in our economic energy and working together and telling our friends about it. Because here's the thing, there is absolutely no way they can lock down the human spirit, which is driven by a desire to be free. Period. End of sentence. You can torture people and they can have freedom. It's a state of mind. And so now we've got handles that we can grab onto. We can literally pull the handles of freedom and sovereignty in this world. We can embrace these things. Why do we tokenize communities? Why do we care about Texas independence or English independence? Why do we care about 5,000 churches in the Philippines? Why do I care about tokenizing the world? Because if we can put back in the hands of people immutable contracts on the blockchain that you literally cannot change, you cannot change any of the rules, any of the tokenomics, you cannot change the supply. That's why we think that everything has to inflate by 2 or 3% every year, is because there are people at the top, the middlemen, who change the database record and print 5 trillion more dollars. We have to literally reboot the system. And when we reboot the system, Babylon burns in an hour. This commercial Babylon thing, that it will fall under its own weight, and you know it will. But don't think that the evil side is winning. The evil side is grasping at straws to try to find ways that they can shut it down. You cannot shut it down. The cat's out of the bag. The cat is completely out of the bag. Pandora's box is open. So what should we be doing? We should help people understand that if all we're selling is one Lambo, right? No, that's not what we're selling. Is that a part of it? Will some people just get rich? Yeah, but what an amazing time. Imagine if we had an abundance. You actually could get rich, but only if you considered others in addition to yourself. Only if you were someone who are contributing to the community. I wish I could shake people by the lapels if they wore them and literally say to them, what are you doing in our community? What are you doing ripping people apart? You should be building people up because you're actually doing the work for them. They want us to fight amongst ourselves. Folks, this is an incredible time in human history where everything is converging. And there's two sides of this thing. The question is, are you going to drink the gold juice? No, we're not. We're going to stand up against this thing. And the cool thing about this is in every story, look at Goliath, right? Dumb, big, right? He's probably nearsighted, right? Fumbling around. And what, David, the smallest of the brothers? They're afraid. The Israelites are afraid. They're like, this guy's huge. He's a Philistine. Oh my gosh, what are we going to do? And the youngest, the smallest of the brothers is like, I'll take him on. I fought the lion and the bear. You fought the lion and the bear. I fought the lion and the bear. Richard Hart fought the lion and the bear. You've been prepared for a moment such as this. This is your destiny to stand up. And you're like, well, what can I do? I don't do this. You can share with other people and don't just think you're sharing one Lambo. This is the future of the economic system in which we have the power. The people do. Will there be people who consolidate power? Absolutely. Will they lord it over you? Yes. They will hoard and they will lord. But folks, this is an opportunity. You got a shot to reset the system. And you see that, right? You're like, man, 10,000x in 623 days. Which one's going to do it? Which altcoin? When are altcoins going to pump? What's going on? What about the halvening? When are things going to go up? When Lambo? And I would say, folks, it's so much bigger than that. You've got to be paying attention. But if you care about anyone that doesn't know about crypto, doesn't know about what's going on, you need to send them over. They need to hear this message. This is so fundamental about us leveraging the resources, leveraging the mechanisms, leveraging the tools to reflect the nature and character of the creator. And guess what the nature and the character of the creator is? Love. Interesting. The truth, clarity, gentleness, kindness, thoughtfulness. Right? These are the things that we know are true, the things that we want more of in our life. Well, if you want more of them, why don't you participate and show more of them? Right? It's an amazing thing. It's an absolute amazing thing, and it's powerful. Right? It's funny. I took a communication class in college, and it's like when you understand that most people are saying, yes, it's this way, and the other person's saying, no, it's this way. You can solve these things very, very quickly. But most people have their mouth open and their ears shut. We got to listen, understand people, and we need to build them up. What did grandma say? Everybody's grandma said it, right? If you don't have anything good to say, don't say anything at all. How are you contributing? This is an account. You're either debiting it or you're crediting it. What do you bring to the table? What skill and ability? What bear and what lion have you fought? And what can you bring to the table? And how can you do that in a way that encourages and builds people up and edifies them and doesn't tear them down? That's the key to winning this thing. Well, what's going to make the institutional people attracted to the pulse chain? Building. You know what's funny is it's amazing to me how many people just so simply rip people apart who are out there investing money, time, and energy to build stuff on the pulse chain. This is the key. We need as many things as we possibly can. You have a choice. You don't have to buy their token. You don't have to participate in their ecosystem. But you ought to be happy that there are people out there that actually give a crap about this thing. We could have an absolute ghost chain. But right now, we've got a degen chain. We need really smart, thoughtful people who care about one another to come along in the way of care, not in the way of twerking the Richard, but the humble Richard, which is, hey, these tenets of true DeFi, this is the way. Take responsibility for yourself. Hold your own keys, right? Be a part of things that have no admin keys. Be cautious. Don't pick up pennies in front of freight trains. Don't give away your keys to people. Hold your own crypto. This is the key to all these things. And be discerning. Because at the end of the day, this is all about the truth. Because in this new era, it's not about this coin's going to rule the world, right? It's Hex. Everybody's going to have to adopt Hex. That's an old idea. It's decentralized finance that's going to win because it gives people options. The question is, do these things reflect your values? Do you fit into these things? And so we need folks. Why did I even start a channel? I started a channel because there weren't people talking like me. There were degenerates, right? There wasn't a guy who put on a coat. Not that it matters, but why do I keep doing this? Because I see the greatest possible opportunity for all of us win together. And in my opinion, that's the only way we win. The old idea, right? This, as soon as Bretton Woods happened and all the money started flowing and the 80s happened and there were hostile takeovers, that's getting mine at your expense. Because we can see, I got a friend, he comes in from France. I've never met him before. He's like, hey, I've watched you since the beginning. We're fast friends. Why? Because people are people regardless of where they are. People care about their families. People are concerned. Like regular people are everywhere. And this idea of nations, right? Which, I'm a big fan of nations. I want to see a new one. I want to see the Republic of Texas 2.0. But I also want to recognize that people around the world, they don't have nuclear weapons. They don't want to kill one another. Honestly, they want to get along and have safety and security and peace in their life. And this idea, this Cold War baby boomer hangover, which is really a function of, the first two world wars, there's an opportunity, folks. Everyone that's out there that's a regular person is like, what in the world are we doing? And we're letting our leaders literally kill and destroy either directly or by proxy. And what do I say? I say, let's defund the war machine. How do you defund the war machine? Well, one, you reboot the system, but you make the government do what it's supposed to do. It's supposed to be at the consent of the governed. We reboot the system and we say, no, you're limited. No, you're here so that I have the freedom and the security and the safety. But what are they doing? They're literally trying to have this country invaded. It's amazing to me, absolutely amazing to me, that these things are happening right in front of our face. If you come across the border and declare asylum, they'll give you like $2,200 and a plane ticket anywhere you want to go. Yeah. And if your house got burned down, they give you $500 in Hawaii. Yeah. This stuff is backwards. Your tax dollars, 100 billion of it going over to Zelensky, and 400,000 people died in Ukraine. And now it's like, well, okay, Zelensky, we're gonna replace you, and you can go to Miami Beach and go be a comedian again. And you know what? Your people, 400,000 of them died. Yeah, we'll figure. Yeah, well, I guess we'll work it out. We could have done this long ago, but people don't want that. These are warmongers. These are people who, in my opinion, have sold their soul to the devil. literally and figuratively. Why? Because power, it's corrupting. And so, folks, this is an opportunity because the money is at the core resource. It's the tool and the mechanism. And crypto is the promise for us to be able to build our wealth outside of these centralized authorities. Think about what Hex is when you go 5555, right? And you do your T shares and you lock up that. You're locking up independent. You're joining a group of people. You do it in Texan, you do it wherever you want to do it. You're building an economic flywheel with a group of people who, and there's no head. There is no centralized authority. There is no one. It's you and the code. This is what we ultimately want. And at the end of the day, it's true. I said, it's about truth. The currency of the future is trust. And it's funny, in a trustless system, right? This idea of transparency and all this stuff, it's trustless. You don't have to trust anybody. I get it. But that means that relationships and community are the currency of the future. Who do you trust? That's why I think if we can tokenize the world, if we literally can get people groups and countries to understand that, why not expose your people and all the people that engage in your new currency to have the opportunity to let people across the world invest in you, literally invest in you. There comes a time in every stream where something special has to happen. You've been ranting for a long time, but because you have love in your heart and you care. And sometimes, love hurts. Sometimes it's hard to express love for one another, but sometimes you've got a brother in need. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes you have a brother in need. And so you have to make sure you're watching out for him. Even if he tells you you shouldn't like and you shouldn't subscribe. Folks, the man who is very, very out of it, hungry, probably low blood sugar man, Brandon from Rags to Riches. Dude,
What's
how
up,
you
dude?
feeling, man?
I feel out of body right now.
You're breaking the bondage, my friend.
Yeah.
You're breaking the bondage, man. Good to see you.
Yeah.
I've been
Good.
following your journey here. You are sacrificing for some people for Christmas, I understand, as well as helping your body.
Yeah. I've never I've never done really a 24-hour fast. So I just decided to throw caution to the wind. Let's do a 72-hour, see what happens.
Well, you can do it, man. You can do
Yeah,
it.
yeah.
Now,
Yeah.
so I've heard that it's really difficult the first, this time when your body's like, "Hey, where's my carbohydrates and where's my, so what have you discovered so far? How far are you through it?"
So if I could think about this experience of potential suffering as a graph and a chart,
Yeah.
I would say that I'm kind of teetering. Well, actually, we'll do it this way. Teetering on the edge. I'm looking into the abyss and I feel myself slipping.
Okay.
So it's not been too bad today. I've had some bouts of brain fog. I'm searching for words much more than I do, and some other things. But I'm all right. Tomorrow's going to suck. It's going to suck.
Well, my understanding is there's a moment in which everything releases. That's what I've heard. I don't have a personal experience with that.
Well,
I'm
we'll
excited
see.
for you. I'm excited for you to tell us about, breaking through that wall.
Yeah, I don't know. It's probably only going to make me worse. So just in the but it's cool, man. It's cool to do this because just like last year, we were in a bear market and I want to do something for Christmas.
Yeah.
And I want to involve people, but I got to be like super careful about how I approach asking people for money when it's in the bear market and all that. So
Yeah.
I think this is good. And you don't have to give money. You can participate. There's actually quite a few people participating. So that's cool too.
Well, you're an inspiration, Brandon. Throughout history, people have fasted. And of course, I think we associate it a lot with kind of spiritual things, but there's so much obvious health benefits around it as well. I mean, it breaks all kinds of things. I mean, you don't realize it. Addiction. I think we talk about chemical type of addictions, but what we don't realize is that, and I've got diabetes and I know this really well. We're addicted to sugar and to, carbs and all that. And I mean, you can feel like absolute crap if you don't eat.
Yeah. It's like pick your poison, right?
Yeah.
So I'm trying to actually figure out what I'm going to break the fast with. So
Well, I can tell that you haven't I know you're I'm gonna get a close up on this one. It looks like you've been doing a little spice, though.
I know.
Look at his eyes, dude. Have you guys seen Dune, the movie? You've seen that movie, Brandon, right?
I was watching that 2 nights ago.
Dude, you literally look like you're on the spice.
I love it.
Hey, well, your wife does too. I mean, you got
Yeah.
those blue eyes, man. That is, you know, you're a looker. You're looker with the red beard, my friend.
So what movie, and let's say in the past 20 years, have you seen that you felt compelled and inclined to watch again over and over?
Oh my gosh. Obviously, The Matrix. Inception is another one. Dune, the newer Dune is
Mhm.
definitely fits into that category. The Count of Monte Cristo in
Yeah.
1994. Um, man, these mind-bending ones, I know there's a couple more. What about you?
I mean, certainly I can watch things like Braveheart,
Frosty
all day.
Dog. Frosty Dog.
Point Break. Like
Oh my gosh, that's the best. What's up, Frosty Dog? Oh my gosh, that's
Frosty
awesome.
Dog, yeah, and he Frosty Dog was telling me how much he loved Brokeback Mountain, and I
Yes,
just I
yes,
can't agree with him, but
yeah.
to each his own.
Great
Uh,
cinematography. Freddie Quote said V
dude.
for Vendetta, so
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. Freddie's doing this too, man. Did I
is he
tell you that?
really?
Yeah, we're in each other's text messages trying to support. So I just held a space, and Freddie said, "If you hadn't held that space, I might have broke." So
He
we're
just posted ribeye, so he's probably trying to
oh yeah, I want to crush a
draw you
ribeye,
off.
man.
He's
Yeah,
drawing you off sides here.
yeah.
Well, I'm excited to hear it. You ought to do like a fasting break stream or something with all the folks doing it.
Yeah, I think we had talked about that, so we'll send
That'd
that
be
out, see if people show up.
that'd be cool. So tell me, if people give, where does the money go?
Yeah, so I set up a Pulse Chain wallet and I have a Venmo. So the money is going to we're going to off ramp it. There's going to be verification of how much money was taken because that's extremely important. It always has been for me. So you guys can see where that money goes. And then we're going to take that money and we're going to kind of figure out, what we want to do. We'll be able to do all sorts of things. Am I going to go to Walmart and just, pay people's layaways off? Am I going to, buy groceries for people? Am I going to get toys for a bunch of kids and deliver it? I don't know. Well,
Did you say layaway?
yeah, dude, layaway.
Does layaway still exist?
It still exists, bro.
You're kidding me.
No, man. Remember
Back
that?
when I was a kid, I remember layaway, but I haven't heard layaway in like 30
Yeah.
years.
Yeah, just go to that Walmart I got arrested at in Texas there, and
Yes.
ask them.
You and
I
Richard
was
Hart.
I was sitting right next to the layaway when that happened.
Oh my gosh, that's so crazy. I had
Yeah.
no idea that you could lay stuff away. Oh
Yeah,
my
man.
gosh, that's great. I thought
Mhm.
that was just an old thing at Kmart. All my Gen X friends will remember that. So, okay, so you're gonna find ways to do this. So if people you encourage them to kinda one-off give? Should they, like,
Pledge. So you can
pledge
pledge
by hour? What's
by
the deal?
hour. So 50 cents, $2, whatever. So 72 hours is the minimum. If I can go past that, I will, but don't feel inclined to pledge any money past that. If you want
Okay.
to, you can. So I don't know if I'll make it, but you can pledge per hour, or you can just drop a donation. I think the last time I checked, we had raised about $1,500, so that's pretty cool.
Oh, that's very cool. Well,
Yeah,
if you guys haven't seen it, so what was it, 2 years ago you did the Christmas special?
yeah,
That was one of the coolest things, folks.
yeah.
It's probably only the second time that Brandon's made me cry, and it was watching that. It was Mike, right, and his daughter?
Mm-hmm. Mike and
Man,
his
that was
daughter.
so special. Didn't he have COVID or you had COVID or
We
something during
both.
the time?
He we were supposed to meet, so I'm supposed to just like give him $7,000 on
Wow,
camera, and he didn't know that. And he says, "I got COVID. I was supposed to meet up with him," and I'm like, "Good, dude. I got COVID too." So I think
perfect.
in that room there's 5 or 6 people. We all have COVID. It
Oh
is what
my
it is.
gosh. So if you should repost that just for the sake of
Oh yeah,
reposting. It
yeah,
would
yeah.
be
Good
so
point.
cool to folks to see that again.
Yeah.
I think that was a great example of our community coming together. What was your thought? I mean, there was a couple different fundraising things. We were in kind of a bull run at that time. I was just blown away how generous the community was.
Yeah, I think people are generous because they're normal people.
Yeah.
That's what normal people with access to resources do. and they want to help others. Why?
Yeah,
Because they came from those places and they
yeah,
understand. So that's why.
dude. We got an amazing group of people in this chat here, by the way. Look at Freddie's like, any food in here? Oh my
Well,
gosh.
the first person I saw was Bobby Hexelrod, and I think you might have to dial that statement back a little bit.
Yeah, yeah. I'm not gonna
Yeah.
run through them all, but there's some good people. Frosty Dog back in the house. This is a good sign. Um, but yeah, I was just going on a rant about the convergence of all these things, and of course, you're a big fan of Elizabeth Warren. I know for a fact, and you saw what she rolled out today, didn't you?
Oh, she's a flippin' idiot,
Oh
dude.
my
And then
gosh.
you saw her just making, romantic eye contact with Jamie Dimon when he looked at her and
Yes,
said, "I
yes.
want Bitcoin to go away, cryptocurrency, if I were the government, wave a magic wand, it'd all be gone." And Elizabeth Warren was like, "Oh," so
Oh my gosh.
it
Right.
is.
Well, they got rid of Binance, so
Yeah.
I kid, of course, but this, in my opinion, there's all kinds of fighting going on. Everybody's so concerned about yours isn't going up or mine's not going up and yours is going up. Here's the thing, you know, I feel like the heat's being turned up on this, and I once again, Richard, I think is ahead of the game with doing this stuff with IPFS and giving you these tools that you could take right onto your desktop. It seems like, well, why? Because people are so used to just throwing money into Coinbase or something and just buying stuff on an exchange, and that's the only place that they can go after. I mean, they can
Yeah.
try to go after Richard and him spending money, but folks, when you're not centralized, I guess the worst that they could do is they could go and find what your hosting provider is and try to take down your website. But that's the coolest thing about this is it provided that we've got an internet access, we've got this. But did you see this movie that came out with Julia Roberts that the Obamas have been it's about the end of the world because of a cyber attack? Yeah, it just came out on Netflix.
Oh, yeah.
And so the World Economic Forum in their plan is basically saying the next big thing is a cyber attack. And then China comes out with a cyber attack today. That movie comes out yesterday. And it's like, okay, this is
It
way
just
too, it's like,
it seems weird.
well, they know what's coming, and Obama likely knows what it is. And it's like, when you
Yeah.
start seeing these things, you're like, obviously, I mean, this is highly coordinated, and
Yeah.
they're scared. I think they're scared. Do you think they're scared?
I don't know if they're scared, dude. I think that they're trying to make us scared to
Yeah.
sow seeds of division. I'll say this, man. I'm surprised this is actually coming out of my mouth, but Tucker Carlson
Oh my gosh.
and your boy,
My
what's his name
my
again?
boy.
What's
Alex
his name?
Jones?
Alex Jones. Yeah, I can't think right now. So, dude, that was pretty eye opening, man, because
Yeah.
he illustrated exactly what we've been talking about for so long. It's crazy.
No, it is so true. And so, folks, if you haven't seen the hour-long interview with Alex Jones, and then, of course, right after that, Elon Musk, let him come back onto X, Twitter. Um, the things he talks about, obviously he's toned down. He was insane before, right? I mean,
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
his style turned me off
yeah.
in the past. And of course, the whole, Sandy Hook stuff was obviously, challenging and went too far. But um, it's interesting. He started out that interview with all the things that Alex Jones has predicted. I mean, the detail in which he predicted 6 months ahead about 9/11 is just crazy. And he's just like, hey, I read all the stuff that they produce. And maybe that's I feel like we've learned a big lesson from the Charlie 19. And,
Yeah.
so let me ask you this. I mean, this is a very pointed question. We've got enough signatures to be on the ballot in the Republican primary in Texas for the referendum. And
Uh-huh.
that question that's going to be on there is, do you believe that Texas should reassert itself as an independent nation?
Mhm.
That, obviously they're trying to fight that. I mean, the Republicans are trying to keep it off of the ballot. Obviously that may go to the courts and those type of things. If we've got kind of super unstable financial world, all of this stuff going on with them trying to take down crypto, um, and we've got, you know, all this pushback. I believe that if there is another move of kind of globalists to lock people down, to do something extreme because they always overplay their hands,
Mhm.
you know, What's your percentage chance that we see, Texas being independent here in the next 5 years?
Percentage chance in the next 5 years, I would probably put that at maybe like 15%. I think that 10 to 20 years out, it's going to be much different because I think that's when the next big bubble pops after they
Yep.
start this whole thing back up.
Yep.
And I don't know if anybody's noticed, but the World Economic Forum really wants to do massive damage to the people of this world.
Oh, yeah.
And Texas is not going to stand for it. And Texas is the antithesis of what they want, which is complete, total control. They want command and control economies. They want to be able to partition things wherever they want to. They want to be able to tell you what to do with your money. They want to roll CBDCs out so they can turn the switch on and off whenever they like. And if you don't believe me, and this was another thing, dude, I started researching this stuff. All the papers and all the documents are out there about this.
Yeah.
And the videos are out there with these people in random press conferences in Switzerland or Germany or somewhere
Yep.
in Singapore talking about their grand plans, and they're open about it. So 2030 is the big year. That's this big push is going towards 2030. I will say though that I think that Elon taking over Twitter was a huge blow.
Yeah.
Huge blow to their plans. So with all of that, I do definitely think at some point Texas does what it says it's going to do, and
Yeah.
Daniel Miller does what he says he's going to do. Because do we see this getting better?
No.
Going to get better? Who's going to make it better? Who's going to be that person that rises up? No, that's not how that works. It's
Yep.
going to get worse. A
So, all right.
new relationship.
Yeah. Yep. Let me run a scenario at you,
Yeah.
right? The threats obviously to, globalist power, they were surprised when Trump got into office, right? Here
Uh-huh.
we are, we've got Trump indicted, 94 times.
Sure.
We've got all these things happening. They're trying to do the best they can to have him not be on the ballot. But let's just say it's, Trump on the Republican side, and I don't think Biden's gonna make it, honestly, and I don't mean he's gonna die, I just mean that
I know
he's
what you mean.
likely gonna give it over to Gavin Newsom. And so everyone, I think, knows that likely the only way to win that election is to rig it. Okay. And whether it is or not, and let's say in the middle of the night they pull it out again and people know that it's been monkeyed with. I think that's the straw that breaks the camel's back. What do you think about that? I think if this election is not tip top and above board, that I think it's literally the catalyst for Texas independence.
Um, that's going to be a strong one. However, what could happen prior to that is Trump gets indicted and then the judge doesn't let him out of jail.
Yeah. Yeah.
That
That could do
is going to
too.
be crazy. That my friend, if that's not the straw, and then on top of that, if Trump doesn't make it into office,
Yeah.
it's like I said, dude, 2024 is looking wild.
Oh, man.
Absolutely wild.
Well, and I think, Tucker Carlson brought this up many times with Trump and then on every other interview is about them assassinating Trump. And I can't believe you hearing, him talk about that. And that, the reason that they haven't brought out the files, the last of the files for the JFK stuff is because it's really obvious who was involved. I'll bet you there are people who are literally, working up, the percentage chances of what would happen if he was not in this world. And that's the really interesting thing is that, when I was a kid, my parents would talk about they took out JFK, they took out his brother, they took out MLK. I mean, it was like Hoover and all those guys, like, you just killed people. And, obviously Reagan was shot, the Pope was shot, like all these things were happening at the time. John Lennon was shot. And it's amazing to me, what we kind of live in, today. Um, and we haven't seen that kind of stuff. But, if people are willing to do what they've already been exposed to do, um, I'll bet you they're just literally like weighing it up. And the question is, what would happen to this? Because there are people that are not our friends across the world who would want nothing more than an absolute broken apart United States of America. Because this
Okay,
next
so
century is not a US century or Western century. This is likely an Asian century coming up.
dude, so it's crazy. It's crazy because all right, do you remember how we were able to compromise the nuclear oh shoot, the enrichment of the uranium in
Yeah, I was
Iran?
told. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yep.
So when they planted the Stuxnet virus in all the cafes surrounding this place, hoping that one of the engineers who came in and out of that building every day would download it, bring it back,
Yep.
upload it into that network, which is airlocked, okay, compartmentalized, and then it screws things up over a short period of time or long period of time.
Mhm.
So I think foreign actors, and you have to be naive to think that this is not the case, all they would have to do is target a segment of the population on Twitter or target a segment of the population on TikTok and psyop these people with ads, bots constantly, just implanting the idea in their head that Donald Trump might die
Yeah.
or he should be assassinated. And
Oh,
all it's
yeah.
going to take is, out of the millions and millions of people, all it's going to take is one person to have that go into their head, the seed plants, and they start creating a plan to go do it. That's how scary this stuff is. That's
Yeah.
the power of social media. And things like that happen. People do, people riot for less on social
Yep.
media. Okay, so that's the type of stuff that we're up against, man.
Oh,
Not
yeah.
only that, I don't even know how they let a president out of the White House
I
or
know.
in the public eye at all with the advent of drone technology.
Right.
Like, I think there's going to be a point where we just don't have presidents out in the open anymore. There's no way,
Well,
right?
remember the whole Havana syndrome? There's obviously some electromagnetic weapon or whatever. If they
Yeah,
wanted
yeah.
to, they had the heart attack gun and all those kind of things. I mean, it seems pretty clear if they want you gone, you'll be gone. Um, it's just, you hope that there are people, and that's where I just keep coming back to like the core spiritual side of things is to say, you know, you and I can't control these things, but we can't live in fear either.
No, no. Maybe it's blissful ignorance,
Yeah.
but I'm not going to be fearful and I'm
Yep.
not going to be quiet. I'm done with that. Tired of it. And
Yep.
it's not getting any better kowtowing to these people. Is that the right word, kowtow?
Something like that.
Is it?
It sounds good. No,
Now
I'm
I'm
not going to debate
now
you
I'm
on that.
curious.
No.
So we can't, dude. We can't because these people don't care. They take, tick, 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 tick. There's no decency, man. And if you let a child run your household, then they're going to take over. They're going to become a self-entitled monster and destroy your family. And that's the same thing with these people. They
Yeah.
are they are infants, they are children, and they have that mentality. And it just so happens that they have the rights and responsibilities as adults. And you know what? It's weird. So we got to stand up to it. We got to treat these people like children, the children that they are.
Yep. Well, the combination of crypto through DeFi, in a community where I feel like, some people would say, oh, you guys are just, you're too worried about these things. I think we're properly prepared. We obviously have the infrastructure and we got good, smart people building. And then we've got the prevailing wind of this economic system bound to fail. And so it's going to be rough, but we do have some things that we can do and everyone can do in our community. I'm just encouraging people to go easy on people in our community. Let's make it a place attractive for people to come into, rather than a toxic place. That's what's been bothering me.
Yeah. So talk to me when you say toxic. What are you seeing?
Well, I just see, I've always kind of prescribed this, or yeah, I've always been of the opinion if you don't have anything nice to say, don't say anything at all. And you got to stand up to things. I get that.
Hmm.
But for example, if you don't like somebody's token or you don't like the way they rolled
Right.
something out, rubbing people's nose in it. And, I was just looking at, how people are just so emotionally drawn to the latest thing, right? There's always something that's the latest thing. And I just want to encourage people, you should be a part of the things that reflect your values. And of
Hmm.
course, if you're just chasing money, well, where are your values? I mean, it's kind of an indication of where you're at. And so it's like, I think what makes this Hexagon community, Pulse Chain community, I think we need to be more principled and we need to understand that we're always telling a story. and
Yeah.
what's the story that we're telling. And I know some people can't help themselves, but um, you know, we have to differentiate ourselves, and we certainly have on the DeFi side. I think we could be a little bit more welcoming. That's all.
You know what's neat, Matt, and disagree with me if you will, but I think that the Texan community, our followers, your followers, my followers, they represent some of the best and the brightest out of this whole community, man. And I love that about us. What do you think?
I do too. Look at
Yeah.
Crypto King. Look at this. Heartbeat, hit me up if you'd like to interview a presidential candidate. I got the hookup. Dude, as long as it's a conservative person that doesn't want to enslave us, please let's set it up immediately.
Oh, dude, if they aren't a conservative person and they do want to enslave us,
Send them
please
to
set it up
bread.
with me immediately. Please.
Oh my
I'm
god.
down.
I love that. Yeah, that's you'd get way more clicks on that one than I would. But absolutely, Crypto King, thanks so much for that offer. I would absolutely love to. And let's do this real quick. I'm going to ask you, Brandon, and I want everyone in the chat, please, to say someone. And I'm going to get back to interviewing more people. I really feel like that's a really good niche for this channel. And I want to, who should I, for example, I have not interviewed KDP. She's somebody that I'm like, I need to interview her. Who are the people that you think I should interview that I haven't interviewed?
Mm,
Because I love
dude,
drawing people out and helping people,
you've
get to the.
interviewed a lot of people though, man.
I have, but you know what's funny is I haven't gotten to all of the OGs. I haven't
Mm.
done Tim Benjamin. I haven't done there's a
Oh,
number of people. Isn't that
you should
crazy?
totally totally do Tim, man. That would be strong. I would like
Look at
that.
these are good recommendations. Elon Musk, maybe
Yeah.
Trump. I
Yeah.
appreciate you guys swinging for the fences. I was thinking in our community, who are the people that, we'd like to learn and get to know more. Did you see I did an interview with this Ben Cage? Dude, that guy was BlackRock Goldman Sachs guy before he got into Pulse Chain. It's
There's a
crazy.
plant. Sorry, Ben.
He's got to be a plant. No, dude, I would love to do Richard Hart. Wouldn't that be great? You know what I'd love to do is your friend Somi. I've been bugging him about doing
Well,
his
he's finally
fraternity.
he put his face on camera finally. So
Okay, let me ask you something. You're a
yeah.
handsome guy, okay? I'm gonna credit you with having the best eyes in the business, right? You got the red hair, all that stuff. You got a lot going for you. But you know what makes me mad is a guy that is so sharp, so smart, and damn good looking. That's not fair. Somi's like he should be like really ugly or something, but he's not. He's fit, he's handsome, and he's smart. Damn him. What are you gonna say about that? You have to be complimentary. Look at you. You're like, I'm not saying a word.
I'm gonna let you
Um,
stew in that one.
no, I definitely. I mean, I would love to interview Somi, but anyway, if you folks have some folks, I would definitely like to do Tim. Um, but I think we need the next. I would love for you and I to encourage the next pledge class of streamers because we did that for a while. We brought some people
Mhm.
in, back in the heyday. I think we need to do some talent development. What do you think?
So who? I mean, so what was her name? Is it shoot? I streamed with her this weekend.
Dude, we should
Who'd
interview
you?
Frosty Dog.
Frosty Dog? Oh
Yes,
hell no! We
yes,
ain't bring
yes,
Frosty Dog out here,
yes.
man.
Look
What
at
are
my Christmas scene comes up when you talk
you?
about Frosty Dog. Let's do it, Frosty Dog. I'd love that. As long as you have a
Oh
bunch of ladies in a hot tub.
yes, please. Yes, let's
That's
do it.
that's that's the crypto heartbeat thing, isn't it? Ladies in
Yeah,
hot tubs.
I hopped on stream with him a while back. We had a good time, man.
He's
It was a
awesome.
good
He's
time. Yeah.
awesome. Oh my gosh, that is so good. Swing for the fences and let help this go viral. You know what? Honestly, if
Get
what's his
money, gang crypto.
Money Gang Crypto, absolutely.
Dude,
Yes.
get him on, man,
Yeah,
because
yeah.
he's one of the best streamers we got.
I
Best
think
by
dollar
far.
I want to do dollar cost. I haven't done dollar cost
Yeah,
either.
do him. Yeah, yeah.
Um, dude, that is so hilarious. What was I gonna say? Oh, I did Hexo a while back. I think we need to go through those guys again, but I want to see new people come out. That what's her name? Magic. Whitney
Yeah,
Magic. I want to see
yeah.
more of her and so folks, I guess this is an offer out to you. If you're somebody who's considering streaming, what we've done in the past, Brandon and I have both done. Um, Jeff, Crypto Kindness. He
Yeah,
was
yeah.
brought him on the channel, said, "Hey, do it," and look what he's doing. Um, I think we should claim K4K as well. Don't you think? We should take
Well,
great credit for him. I'm
Yeah, I mean,
kidding.
no, I'm not gonna
I'm
dude, he
kidding.
blew up. I
He
mean,
did. He did.
he's standing in a league of his own
His
here.
own. Yeah. He needs,
Yeah,
yeah. Once Pulse X comes around, he'll be back.
yeah,
Um, but yeah, I would love it if you're somebody who wants to start streaming. Both Brandon and I will help you. We will have you on our channel, and we will encourage people to sub. And it's amazing, this community. People did it for us. We'll do it for you.
yeah.
We need more and more people. And I think what we're going to see is what, 140 streamers out there. I mean, we need to just continue to increase it. So if you feel the need, um, and I would say no matter who you are, there's always going to be somebody who's interested in listening to you. Even
Yeah,
you, Brandon. You even have people you tell them not to subscribe.
it's crazy. I think YouTube's finally had it with me, so we'll
Yeah.
move to Rumble. I wanna see how that goes.
How's
See
that
how that
going as
goes.
far as subs? Are there any people out there?
I mean, I don't know, I might have like 50 subs. I started a couple weeks ago, so it
Okay.
is what it is. Yeah.
Okay. Hulk Hogan. Um, awesome. All right, Brandon. We want to all stand behind you in your fasting adventure. I'll be paying attention to what's going on. Folks, please, if you want to help folks in need, Brandon is a trustworthy person who is going to bless people during this Christmas time. Come on, dude. You can trust him with your gifts to bless people. But pledge alongside of Brandon. I want to see you when your head gets clear. I want to see that stream.
I wanna see me when I'm just delirious.
Yeah.
That'll be interesting. I wanna put myself on stream, and I'm gonna force myself to do mental acrobatics. We'll play some chess games, some speed chess, and just watch me slobber all over myself.
Look at this. Look at this.
I
Crypto Pez, he's out of Spain. He's like, I've considered doing a fasting and crypto stream. Not sure where to start. You've got the right people
Yeah,
talking to you.
dude.
Crypto Pez, you
Got you
need to get
covered.
out there. No, I didn't bring on Fashion Coder, but she was dynamite.
Yeah,
Dynamite.
apparently Richard Hart got served.
What?
Mhm.
Somebody mentioned that in the chat. So it is official now?
Well, okay, so I haven't looked. If somebody in chat has access to the court listener, let me know. But here's what I find interesting. They told the court very recently that they couldn't serve him. They didn't have
Yeah.
access to him. And now it comes out that he got served on October 31st.
Okay.
So those dates don't line up in my mind, but it could be. There could be some hang up here. So maybe.
Mexican lost in Asia. I'm eating an egg and cheese breakfast burrito this morning and chocolate milk. Is that
Oh,
that's those are fighting words
yes. Yeah,
for you
those are fighting words,
for
buddy.
you. Um, oh my gosh. Okay. Um, ID, thanks for being here, man. Appreciate you. Thanks y'all for joining.
Yeah.
I didn't expect this kind of last minute stream to get so good attendance. Brandon, thanks for coming in and telling us how you're doing. I'm glad you seem to be doing well, in my opinion.
Yeah, dude. You're not gonna catch me slipping. You're not gonna
That's right.
catch me
That's right.
sweating. Yeah.
All right, folks. Take care of yourself. Thanks for watching the stream, and do not mess with Texas. Take care, everybody.